Let me know if you guys can hear me now. Hello? Hello? Okay, Doug. Let's see. No. Okay, Doug. Hello? What about now? Can you hear me? What about now? Can you hear? Okay. Nice. All right, so I'm gonna have to start again, I guess. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm gonna have to start again, I guess. Sorry. I don't know what happened, but anyway, so thank you guys for thank you guys for letting me know that. So let me undo what I just did really quick. Let's see over here. Okay. So let me undo what I just did. Now it sounds okay, says Doug. All right. So I don't know what happened, and let me know if it happens again, because yeah. So just let me. I'm gonna do it again, but let me know if again I lose the sound. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's start again. I think it's when I change between scenes. So I'm gonna start again, and hopefully it doesn't do it anymore. Let's see. Okay. Can you hear me, Doug? Let me know, please. Doug, can you hear me? or any of you guys, can you hear me now before I press? Okay, nice. All right, I think I'm gonna start now then. Sahil wanted to auto number his lighting pole tagging, but needed to only increment the middle number. So let's see how we can help our friend. Hello there, I'm Irving, and welcome to another Lazy Question Show where I pick your question to answer you live. So, to start then, so I wanted to understand our friend. I wanted to understand our friend workflow, but it was hard, right? Because I didn't have his blog, and so I asked him to send me his drawing, and he did. So the first thing I did when I received his drawing was inspected it, right? For instance, I saw that he had some nice instructions over here. So the lighting pole number was the one in the middle, the 160, and that's the one that he needed to be auto updated. So then I found his blog over here that he was using with a mtext, right? So now that I understood kind of what his workflow was, because I could immediately see that the middle number 160, 161, 162 and so on was the one that he needed to be increment. So then I proceeded to copy one of his text, and using the Control Shift X shortcut to cut it from the middle or from the center point of his block, so that way when I open his block on the block editor, I could go ahead and paste it with Control V, right? So over here I simply inserted it on the center point again, because again I was trying to respect how he had this layout right on his block. So over here I needed to first I needed to introduce a attribute definition, right? Because in order to auto number this block when inserted, we needed more than a simple text. We needed a smart text, in this case an attribute. So the way I did it was using the ATT shortcut, like so, and starting populating some of his information. Again, this was all up to our friend Sahil, but the number I set it to 1, like so. So for the text justification, this was important because I wanted it to place this on the middle of these two texts. So then the options that I picked was center and middle center. So for the text height, I needed to match his text size, and I knew was 2 inches. So that's what I picked, 2 inches, and simply clicked OK. So over here, I simply located it on the center over here for now. And just to make sure that I had the exact size, I went to the properties and I saw that the text size was 2 inches. But this attribute was also 2 inches, but it was a little, let's see if we move it on the center. So this time what I did is simply removed the middle number and give it some space, right? Like so. So his number could fit on the center. And what I did is move, of course, the attribute definition on the center, like so. All right, so that's what I did, and simply go ahead and close the block editor, and of course I did save the changes. So over here, in order to this block to update, so I saw that he kind of rotated it, so I went ahead and went to my properties and simply fixed that rotation to avoid any problems. And also this probably was mirrored for some reason, so I fixed that with the mirror command, like so. Right, so that was his block. Now the thing is that I couldn't see the attribute definition. Well, to fix that, I use the ATT sync command, so that way I could select his new block and simply say yes to kind of refresh that. So at this point, I needed to somehow create a command to auto number this block with the attribute. So I remember that we created that command here on the channel, so, and I didn't want to waste time recreating this command, so all I did was go ahead and went to my Patreon account. So to access it, so I went over here on my Patreon account and went to my AutoCAD macros, and I found it over here. So all I did then is simply copy and paste the macro code, right? So that way I could simplify my life, and went ahead and went back to AutoCAD to create this command, right? So the way I created it was using the tool palette with Control 3, and I could drag here anything to the tool palette, right? For instance, this text, and drag and drop it to the tool palette like so, and that way I could change some of its properties by right clicking on it, and this way I could go ahead and paste the code that I just copied. So over here, the thing that I needed to change was, of course, the block name. So I needed to know that information. So what I did is go ahead and select his block, or Sahil's block, and go to the property to double check that. And I think the block name was called 4M Paul with spaces over there. So then I proceeded to add that on my code. So 4M Paul. So that's what I did. Remove or change this information for the block name 4M Paul. Now, since my friend was using spaces to name his block, and macro codes don't like to have spaces because it can read it as a enter on your keyboard, so I needed to somehow use these quotes for his block name, so that way I could avoid some problems, right? So then I continue and pressed OK. And that way I could go ahead and test the new command for our friend Sahil by clicking on it. And I could go ahead and let's see. So units, meters, enter block name 4M Paul, 4M Paul. So it wasn't working, as you can see, and the first thing that I attempted then was to rename the block, right? So the first thing I tried to fix this issue because the command wasn't working. As you can see, when we inserted it, it's now working, because if we expand the F2 to expand the command line, it says enter block name 4M Paul, units, meters, conversions, and so on. So the first thing that I tried was to rename his block with the rename command, like so, and that way I could find. And we have some comments on the chat. Let me read it before we proceed. Felicia Hernández says, good morning, Lazy Arquitecto. Bien, y que tengas muchos éxitos. Thank you, Felicia. Espero que estés muy bien, tú también, y gracias por estar aquí. Walking on Shine says, would this macro work in AutoCAD LT? That's a great question, and to be honest, I didn't test it in AutoCAD LT because I use the full version of AutoCAD, but I'll go ahead and download it and test it and get back to you with an answer, Rachel. So Rachel also says, I don't think this man is using imperial, looks like metric. That's what I think too, Rachel, and thank you for the feedback. With 9 people connected live, that's awesome. We're trying to figure this out to help our friend Sahil with his questions, with kind of automating his numbering process for his blog. So live. So what I'm gonna do is first try this first attempt to rename his blog, and then I'll go ahead and jump to what Rachel is suggesting, which is he's using metric instead of imperial, right? So that will be my second attempt. So thank you, Rachel. So for Empol, let's again rename it something like this for Empol, so that way we can avoid some of these spaces, right? So I'm gonna do that and rename it for Empol, and let's see. Let's try it now. Well, we need to update the code first, right? Let's remove the quotes and the spaces like so, and let's try it one more time. So let's test it, and again it's not working. So let's move with the second attempt, which was Rachel's recommendation about imperial and metrics. So what I'll do then is, again, we are doing this live, so that's the challenge that we might encounter, right? Some difficulties. So what I'm gonna do then is go ahead and copy this over here on the side and explode this. All right, so I'm gonna explode this, and let's see. All right, so everything is exploding now. So let's kind of do it now differently, so that way I don't start with his existing block, but I'm gonna start fresh. All right, so again, I'm gonna simply select all of his geometry and create a block using the B shortcut. I'm gonna call this 4M pole, like so, using the underscore. That will be our block, and then I'm gonna click OK. So for the insertion point, I'm gonna select this center of the block, and then I'm gonna start adding an attribute. So I'm gonna add an attribute over here, and again for the tag, that's all up to our friends, but for the default I would say I think our friend was using 100 numbers, right? 100, 162, 100. So I'm gonna set the default to 100. If you want Sahil, you can set it to 1. But for the justification, it's important that we pick the middle center. Standard is fine. Text height 2, that's okay. So I'm gonna click OK and paste it or place it over here on the center, like so. All right, so our attribute looks a little big, so I'm gonna change the size to 1 then, like so. All right, so at this point what we can do is simply go ahead and close the block editor and save the changes for our 4M poll, remember, with the underscores. So but we have a problem over here, so because we cannot see the attribute. So again, let's use the ATT sync to kind of sync our new block with the attribute, and let's select our block and say yes. All right, so now we created this block again using some good practices and standards, right? So that way we could avoid problems. And let's implement the name to our macro code, and let's see if hopefully it will work. So for Empol, our new block Let's call for and Paul, but with the underscores. So let's quickly accept that and say okay. And now this is the moment of truth. Will this command work? So let's see. Let's click on it, and we have 10, 11, and it's kind of working, but we need a final extra step here. And if we carefully go and read some of the instructions over here on the post from our Patreon post. By the way, if you are a supporter, you can access all of our codes to simply copy and paste. There is a note here that says, of course, replace the block name, but also use the usery1 system variable to set a starting number at any moment. So that's what we need, because again, we are starting from a random number over here, and that's not what we want. Our friend usually I can see that starts from 100 number and all the way up. So let's try that. Usery1, and let's set it to, of course this depends on our friend, but for this specific example I'm gonna say 100, and let's quickly test it now. So let's click on it, and we have 100, 101, 102, and so on. Great, guys, we could finally figure this out live, and I'm happy that we could help our friend Sahil with his lighting pole. As you can see, it's working beautifully, and hopefully it's gonna save him some time. What do you guys think about this technique or this new command, the auto numbering, for auto number only the middle number of a block? Let me go and jump to the chat now to start reading some of your comments. And so yeah, this was a challenge, guys, because again I was trying to, let's see, we have a comment. Douglas says, interesting, can be used for so many things. Yeah, Douglas, I mean, let me jump to the comment over here. Okay, so yes, Douglas, I mean, it was a challenge because we are live here, and what I was trying to do is reuse some of our friend blog, but we don't know how he created it, right? He might created it, you know, using different standards, and I was having problem. Like Rachel was saying, maybe it was on not on imperial or metric, who knows. But once I recreated his blog, I could make it finally work. So walking on sunshine says, perfect. I work in roads. This will help big time. Yeah, walking, I mean, that's the beauty of this show. The lazy question show is I try to pick a question that might be also useful for all of you guys, right? And Sahil's question was very interesting, was useful, so that's why I picked them. And I'm glad I did, because now I can tell that it's also gonna be helpful for Rachel, for Douglas, and so on. So we have 10 people connected live. That's awesome that you are still here with me. And let me know if you have more questions or ideas or anything that you wanna chat about AutoCAD, right? Before we wrap up today's live stream, which it was a challenge, right? You saw I was getting errors here and there. I thought it was the naming of the blog, but it wasn't. Then we got some feedback from you guys, from Rachel, about the being in metric, not on imperial, and so on. So, but when I finally recreated the blog, it was working nicely. So yeah, guys, so we have 8 people connected live still. um gonna start thinking on our next topic for our next live stream. I think I'm gonna create a dynamic blog maybe, or we'll see, guys. So let me know if you have any questions before I wrap up today's live stream. And Douglas says, are you going to show results of poll taken regarding Zoom meetings? That's a great question, Doug, and always thank you for reminding me things, right? um, so yeah, let's do that. Let's do that live. For people who don't know, let me quickly explain what Douglas is referring to. Right, so let me go over here on the channel and show you that Douglas is referring to the poll, the live poll that I did on this live stream. So you guys can see my screen, right? My channel, the YouTube channel screen. Let me know. So basically, we did a poll. Let me find that poll. Let's see. It's the first time I do a live poll, so try to understand me here if I don't, if I have trouble finding it or something. Here we go. I found it. So the poll was, let's see. Should we move our Zoomcat meetings from Saturdays to Sundays? And 77% say yes. Okay, so that's what we'll do then, guys, because again, you are the most important part of this live show. So if you say let's move it, we will move it. So for people who don't know, that people don't understand what's going on here, we do or have our Zoom cat meetings with our supporters, right? With our YouTube members. And we do this once a month, right? And by the end of each month, we do this. And we already did 3 of those cat meetings. So, and we've been doing it on Saturdays. But there were some folks that maybe not are not able to join us on Saturdays. They might work. There are people that work on Saturdays, right, Duke? So we did this poll asking, and people say yes. So that's what we're gonna do then. Duke and all of you guys who are members. So every 4th meeting, make it a Zoom. That's what we're gonna do, Douglas, and because that's what people is asking for, so that's what we're gonna do then. We're gonna, so to be clear, so what we're gonna do is each month we're gonna have 3 live streams, right? And the 4th week would be a Zoom meeting with you guys. So that's what we're gonna try to implement, and let's see if people like that. All right, thank you, Duke. And we have a couple more questions before I wrap up today's live stream. So let's see over here. Rachel says, I have question with corduroy paving hatch pattern. I'm struggling with, will message you. Yeah, you can email me or message me, Rachel. I think you are also a supporter of the show, so I really appreciate that. Thank you, Rachel, for doing that, right? So yeah, let me know where what problem you have with your hatch. For people who don't know, we created a custom hatch pattern also here on the channel, a tutorial. We did a tutorial about it, so if you want to learn more about it, you can also check that out. Rachel says, Well, we have 9 people live still, so that's awesome, guys, that you are still here, even though the presentation already ended, right? But we are chatting here or hanging out a little bit more with you, and people seems to like that. That's awesome. So I missed your Zoom call as the clocks went forward before we did it in the UK. Miss you by an hour. We'll get the next one. That's awesome, Rachel. I saw your email that yeah, you were 1 hour late to the meeting, but hopefully for our fourth CAD meeting, which would be by the end of April, right? So Duke, hopefully I can see you again there too. Douglas says every fourth meeting make a Zoom. Yes, that's what we agree on here live with everybody, right? We did a live poll. People say yes, move it to Sundays. That's what we're gonna do because again, these live shows are for you, right? So Douglas says, before we go, have a great week, everyone. Thank you, Duke. And I think I'm gonna stop here because I mean, I answered already some of your questions, and I'm gonna go ahead and get breakfast, right? Because I'm very hungry, like always. I finish hungry these live streams. All right, so says write a code to remind us at the end of the third meeting. Yeah, I'm gonna remind you about the next CAD meeting or in Zoom. And for people who don't know, right? You might still you can still access these CAD meetings for free because we do contests here, right? By the on our live streams, we do contests where the winner win a seat on our CAD meetings, right? Even though you are not a member, you can still access our CAD meetings, so there's no excuse to save time or to connect with people, right, on our Zoom CAD meetings. So just pay attention to those contests because we do it live. We didn't do it today, but we might do it next time again, so you can access our CAD meetings for free, right? Because I understand there are some people that might not have the financial a good financial situation to support that show. That's why I do this contest for you, right? So later, everyone. All right, guys, so I had a wonderful time today. We had some challenges. We finally could figure things out. And thank you for being here. And I'll see you next Sunday live. See you guys.